This is the Backlog Exposed podcast with Kevin Lane and Joel Rubel, bringing you weekly discussions on gaming as well as quick insights into sports, entertainment, and anything else that they can think of. Be sure to check out the backlogexposed.com, where you can listen to the podcast and get links to Twitter, Discord, YouTube, and Facebook.
I'm Joe.
I'm Kevin.
And we are
The Backlog
Exposed. Yeah.
Now, gear up and get ready because this backlog is about to be exposed.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Backlog Exposed. I am your host, Kevin, and we have a lot to get to, but I wanted to give you a quick update on a few things, and just let you know this is a quick episode, a quick catch-up episode. Joe and I are going to be recording either later tonight or tomorrow to get you an all-encompassing episode, get us back on track until I go back to surgery again in a few weeks. But yeah, this is just to give you a preview of what's to come and give you a little bit of heads up on what we've been working on. So it's just me today to hit you with this. So first and foremost, my surgery. Okay, I had cubital and carpal tunnel surgery in my right elbow, and that put me away for a little bit. What that is is the nerve is having a hard time going in and out of the cubital tunnel and the carpal tunnel. These are problems, I guess, that do reach a lot of gamers or guitarists or anybody really, like a tennis elbow type of thing. And what they have to do is take the ulnar nerve, which is the nerve that's also known as the funny bone, and remove it from its tunnel. And then they gotta do some stuff in there that's really nasty looking. And then they gotta seal it all back up. I have a good 5 to 6 inch long scar along the inside of my elbow. The surgery was not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. I was pretty nervous going into it, but to be honest, they just, they put me out, and they did both at the same time, the wrist and the elbow. I thought I was going to be out, unable to use my right arm for 4 to 6 weeks, because I figured this is pretty intense surgery, especially if you watch the YouTube clips, and they're pretty nasty. But in reality, once I was able to feel my arm, because they did block it, which is called like a nerve block. They put it into my upper chest by the shoulder area, and it shut my entire arm down for 24 hours. I couldn't feel anything. You could chop it off with an axe. It was done. And so once the feeling started coming back, I could wiggle my fingers, I could gently lift it about a millimeter, and then by mid-next day, there was the pain, to be honest, wasn't significant. Yes, they gave me pain pills. I was taking them, but it wasn't near as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I was able to lift my arm, and then I was able to wiggle my fingers, and I realized I could grip things, and there was no pain. The doctor didn't tell me not to, So I gained a little bit. We're talking like 15 minutes, and then took a break, and I played a round or two here, but I couldn't do anything really because I couldn't move my wrist. So it was just, getting stupid challenges in Fortnite and stuff, nothing significant. Within 2 days, I could adjust my wrist up and down, I could move it around in circles, I could play video games, I could type, and there was a lot of pain in the soreness. But folks, for anybody who's dealing with similar symptoms, go get checked out, because my left arm is still impacted by the nerve damage and by the cubital and carpal tunnel. It wasn't as bad as the pain on my right arm, but it was up there. And I can tell you right now, comparing the two, there's no comparison. My left arm is worse when my symptoms are triggered. They are worse than my right arm, which is going through the recovery process. So with all the fears of going under, with all the fears of having them cut open your arm and do it, even the nerve test, that it doesn't feel good where they stick needles in you, but to be honest, it doesn't even compare to the consistent and long-term pain that you're in. I was not sleeping. I still am not because of my left arm. Not sleeping great, and the recovery on my right arm is a little bit stiff, so it's hard to sleep the way I like to sleep. But there is a difference, and it's noticeable, and I implore you all, go out, get checked out if you have carpal tunnel or cubital tunnel. And some of the ways to know, some of the symptoms to know, I always thought carpal tunnel was just like soreness in the wrist. It's a difference, and if you play, if you say you mow the lawn for a couple of hours and your wrists are just sore, that's not carpal tunnel, but it's the feeling of like you've played tug of war for a very long time, and your fingers and your knuckles are swollen, and I believe it's the thumb, pointer finger, and middle finger are the excuse me, are the fingers that are impacted by the carpal tunnel. So you'll notice more of stiffness in those three fingers. The cubital tunnel will cause stiffness, pain, and whatnot, numbness in the ring and the pinky finger going up the bottom side of your arm to your elbow. You'll also feel pain starting from your shoulder, going to the tips of your fingers with the cubital tunnel. And it's not always pain. Sometimes it's numbness or just an odd feeling with your arm where it feels like something out of place or something. I always feel like I need to like crack my shoulder or something. I don't know, just weird. But it's a numbness on the outside and a deep throbbing pain on the inside. Check it out. They have tests that'll tell you if you have the problem, whether or not you think you do or not. And obviously with any wounds, any incisions, it's sore. But as gamers and as older gamers, we got to keep up with ourselves. I still got a lot of life left in me, and so I don't want something like this to stop me from being in pain. I was in pain just holding my controller playing Fortnite, and that sucked. And I know a lot of gamers go through similar stuff, and some people are too afraid to go get checked out or don't have the insurance or whatever. But it's worth it if you do and can get it checked out, because they'll tell you if you do have it or not, and because they have the technology. All right, moving forward, some of the things that Joe and I are going to be talking about in the upcoming days, I definitely need to talk to him. We're going to do a consolidated discussion on some of the battle royales. Since we've really got into it last, we have Battlefield 5, Firestorm, and we also have, obviously, Fortnite, which is coming up with their World Cup. And I'm trying to get an interview with TX2 Loud, Troy, who he runs the Fortnite podcast, which is pretty much the primary podcast for Fortnite. I know there's a lot out there. I listen to a few of them, but with Troy, you have Monster D-Face. Monster D-Face is a face of Fortnite. Epic Games pays this guy to fly out to some of these places and do the commentary for a lot of the Fortnite events. I would definitely say that this podcast could be classified as the unofficial podcast of Fortnite. I've been talking with Troy. He's interested in doing some collaboration of some sort, and I think it's time now we get him on and pick his brain. And if you haven't checked him out, check him out. The Fortnite podcast with TX2 Loud, or 2 Loud TX, probably 2 Loud TX, and and Monster D-Face. Those guys are great, and they put on a good show. We also want to get into Blackout. Now, I know Joe is severely addicted to Call of Duty. I'm just kidding, Joe. But no, he is. He loves Call of Duty. And, for some reason, I'm not addicted to Call of Duty. I used to be, years ago, Modern Warfare 2. So I like playing with Joe, and I have this, this inkling of determination to get back in there and play. I have not been able to play too much. And for some reason, one of the games I really want to play is the Blackout. Well, just the other day, they launched a new Alcatraz Battle Royale map, which is so cool, in my opinion, because it condenses and consolidates the map into a smaller island, and it's a midway point between a classic Battle Royale that we've seen over the past year and a Call of Duty map with respawns. So it's a cool mix for those who aren't interested in the full all-out giant map of Blackout, and the people who want to get involved in a fast-paced shooter like a multiplayer Call of Duty. I really enjoy that. Also, because in Call of Duty, you get your loadouts in multiplayer. In this, it's the loot-based system, so it's like a multiplayer game with the Battle Royale aspects. And if you haven't tried it out, free update, Alcatraz map, jump on in, and I believe the progression impacts your progression, your standard progression across the game itself. So definitely want to talk with Joe about that. And then we have Firestorm, which as we all know, I really like Battlefield 5, and I have not had a chance to play Firestorm because when I jump in there, I want to give it some time. But I have been watching. I've been watching a lot of Firestorm. I've been paying attention to the streamers. Some of the streamers have broken off and only played Firestorm. We got Shroud out there, so sporting Firestorm. And I really like the graphics in it. I've always liked the graphics in Battlefield 5, Battlefield 4, all those games. The gameplay looks to be similar or the same as the Battlefield style of gameplay, which I personally enjoy. But I guess they needed to work on the looting, and so that's something that the team has been working on to try to fix the looting system. I know they did put out an update that will spread the loot a little bit, so you don't have to pick it up. What was happening was the loot would drop and pile on top of each other. It was pretty hard for everybody to, quickly get what they wanted out of the loot. And they're working on it. They know they need to do something different, like a loot box, as we've seen in Apex. But yeah, it's cool to see how these games are working together. Not to mention in Fortnite, they're bringing the respawn bus, and we all know from Apex Legends that they've kind of innovated the market with an out of nowhere game that it seems like all these other games are trying to replicate a little bit, and I think that's pretty phenomenal that Respawn Entertainment has been able to generate that kind of buzz and make that kind of impact. It's a refreshing reminder that there's more than one game out there. Fortnite was my primary game for quite some time. Still kind of is because of the injury, and I can't really get into some of these other games yet, but I don't know. It's so refreshing to have options and to see all these streamers all kind of spreading out. And like I said, in Fortnite, you have the respawn bus that's bringing that dynamic to Fortnite. It's going to change the game quite a bit. They've also made some changes that piss a lot of the streamers off. The streamers are off playing Monopoly. They're off doing other things because they want their 50 health per kill back. And, Epic is not rewarding them with that, but they're giving them the respawn bus. They're obviously trying some different things before this World Cup coming up. And, they seem to continually do things right. Obviously, they're pissing some people off, but who knows? Who knows who they're making happy, but they're probably going to launch some crazy thing and everyone will forget this whole mess. So yeah, we want to do a rundown of all the battle royales and get into where we're at, what we're playing, and things like that. But we also have to talk about some VR. I haven't talked about VR in quite some time, and a couple of big deals have dropped recently. We have No Man's Sky VR, which is something that I have been waiting for since No Man's Sky dropped. A lot of people hated that game right off the bat. They felt like it did not deliver on what was expected. I don't know. I still had a lot of fun with it. Joe and I played the hell out of No Man's Sky. I made it to planets that had people that had been there. It was interesting. They made it seem like you'd never do that, never get there. Obviously, people wanted that. They have adapted that game over the last couple of years into a completely full-fledged promise. They have nailed it. I haven't gotten back into it, but I have watched and seen the updates, and that team deserves some credit for finishing what they started and delivering to the players what they should have gotten at the beginning. But they never expected or never promised the VR. People just wanted it. And now we're getting it this summer, and I can't wait because that's a perfect type of game for VR where you can just coast through the sky. You don't have to fight. You don't have to do bad things or whatever. It's exploration. It's enjoying your time. And I'll tell you, that game is perfect for it. I played so much of No Man's Sky, and the entire time, that was around when the PlayStation VR came out, and I was saying, I need that game in VR. I need it in VR. Well, we got it. And I can't wait to play it, so we'll definitely be talking about that. But then we have a game called Iron Man. I don't know if you've heard of Marvel Comics, but Iron Man VR, I was expecting this to be another one of these cheapo advertisements. They've done a couple, Spider-Man Homecoming VR and, Marvel, whatever. This one looks to be legit. It's getting some good reviews. They're talking about the controls being dynamic and interesting. So I want to get into Joe's thoughts on this. I know Joe is still kind of just, I'm going to use the term ignorant, even though that's not really a good term. Joe's not ignorant, but he plays a fool when it comes to VR. Oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. He did not try it long enough, folks. I can tell you right now. I tell him he didn't try it long enough to truly get past whatever it was that was prohibiting him from enjoying it. He's a gamer. I wouldn't tell this to someone who isn't a gamer, who said, nah, no good, I don't like it. I need Joe's opinion on some of this stuff, so I'm going to continue to push him until he buys the damn VR, but I hope he doesn't wait till it's too late, and we're moving to the next generation of VR, which is going to be, I just can't wait. Well, that's another thing we need to get into. Next gen, right? Quite a bit of things have dropped over the last couple of weeks on that. We know Microsoft is now obviously working on their system. PlayStation 5, lots of rumors and hints and this and that are dropping. You got the new DualShock 5 potentially leaked, and so we tweeted about that. It's hard to say, right? Is that going to be, is what they leaked going to be the game? Who knows? Or going to be the controller? I just don't know, but it looks a little bit clunkier. But these teams of people are obviously doing their research to figure out what feels better, what works better, and hey, maybe it reduces some of that carpal tunnel. Google's in the mix. Google Stadia has been released, and to be honest, they're not released. Jesus, I'm tripping over my words here, but they have released the statements on Stadia, and Stadia is going to come in being a systemless platform. One of the things I was talking with a friend about was Google has data. They love and live on data. They don't have no data. When you're in there, when you're on your phone, they got you, right? You go from your phone to your PlayStation, you put your phone down, and now that's a serious gap for Sony to avoid giving that information out. It's a serious gap for the phone makers. It's a serious gap for the search engines that collect the data. So Facebook and Google, Google doesn't have any integration into Sony or Xbox that I'm aware of, and so they're missing what you're doing, and they need to know because that's what they do. And so they're putting their own system out. They're going to collect all that data. They're going to know, and they're going to build on it, and that's how Google does business. They'll present you with great options, but the options are great because they want you to use them so that they can collect that data. That is their business. That being said, I'm interested to see how they're going to do it. They're saying that, input time and lag from your controller is not going to be a problem. There's a lot of speculation, a lot of consideration to, different Wi-Fi speeds and things like that. But they're saying anywhere you can get an internet connection, you're going to be able to play this game or this system. On your Chromecast, on your phone, you're going to be able to go from one place to the other with instant access to streaming on YouTube. And there you go. Boom. Google versus Amazon. Amazon owns Twitch. Google has Google Games, Google YouTube Games. And Twitch is obviously the king in this area, but YouTube is trying to keep up. Well, now they'll have a system that'll probably, I don't know if it'll be a subscription fee to play it or if it'll be free to play. The games will cost money. Who knows what Google will do. I'm super interested in talking with Joe about that, and as we hear more, following through. And then let me just run down a couple more things that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Samurai Showdown. There's going to be a June release for that. That was a fighting game that I remember having a lot of fun with. And it looks like they're having a next-gen version of that coming out finally. And Mortal Kombat. So those are a couple of fighting games there. Boom. We definitely need to hit those on the head. Mortal Kombat is getting a lot of press this time. They're putting a lot of info out, a lot of details on every character. When the last Mortal Kombat came out, there was a lot of hype for it, but it kind of seemed like in the general population, it just kind of dropped off. I'm sure there was a lot of activity in the MK community, but this next one is getting a lot of global action and all the news and Reddits and this and that. You're seeing posts about all the the reveals, kind of like Smash Brothers did. But you got to assume in the next generation of Mortal Kombat, they're all going to be there, and more. So some of these newer characters are looking pretty cool. Let's see. Okay. I saw Shazam with my son. I loved it. I want to talk with Joe about that. Going back to the Battle Royale, we were talking a couple weeks ago, Carmageddon, And some of these older car games, they need a battle royale, right? Destruction Derby. Well, Not My Car is a game coming out. It's for PC, I believe, and they have a Sony early access, or I'm sorry, a Steam early access to a game called Not My Car, and it looks like a Destruction Derby style, fast-paced battle royale with cars. Love to talk to Joe about that. We also got Days Gone coming up, which is getting a ton of hype. This game has been talked about for quite some time at E3s and on all the different news sites. I'm interested to see how this launch goes after playing some or seeing how Anthem has gone. I'm going to wait to do anything with this game. However, if it's good, it is a game I'll buy. The Anthem, right? Let's talk about that. We're gonna dive into Anthem. Joe and I talked up Anthem, and if anyone bought Anthem because of us, I'm sorry. I'm trying to pull back a little bit there on recommending games before they're launched because of this. And so Anthem, there's a couple of stories out there about how they believe that EA might be using some type of weird algorithm to determine how you get your loot. And someone actually did some research, found some patents, and it's interesting to see how those patents apply to EA and Anthem. And there was a news story from like January of 2018 that actually included screenshots of an quote-unquote upcoming game. And now that Anthem's out, you know that that screenshot is from Anthem. And the upcoming game they're talking about, the news story talked about how EA was putting in some type of incentivized play with, basically trying to get you to spend more money to continue playing the game. And with all these algorithms in the game, if that's what's happening, that could be why they're having such a hard time appeasing the customers and giving them what they want with better loot and stuff. There's probably some really dynamic code in there, and EA is probably using this huge hype game to see if this type of thing will be a future, moneymaker for them. It's always about money. I wish it was about the content, and the money comes after. Joe doesn't love all the different things of battle royales with all the spending all the money. Fortnite being the primary one, but to be honest, I love that aspect. Yes, you can spend way too much money, right? But that's called moderation, and that's called, limiting yourself or your kids. But the fact is, you don't have to have any of that. You can go in and play the entire game as is without spending $1. And it's up to you to control yourself when you want to spend money or not. I think that's a perfect business model. It seems to work, and people seem to appreciate it. But then you have Call of Duty, who's like, buy our game, and then we're going to implement that business model. The greed, it comes through. And then you see that the fall off is significant for games that do that, especially in viewership on Twitch. There's so much data out there that's visible right now. You can compare Twitch versus Battlefield versus Fortnite and Apex, and you can see which games are getting more views and things like that. And it's obvious that people don't like that type of forcing you to spend money to have fun and to play the games. Obviously, they want to make money, right? The risk of not forcing you to spend money to play the game is that they lose all their money. But damn, I mean, it's working for some of these companies. Apex and Fortnite just came out of nowhere, free to play. Both of them have the same model, both of them the top games. There's a reason for that. There is a reason for that. They should make Blackout and Firestorm free to play for everybody. And I guarantee you, people would jump in and play it. You'd have a bigger player base. You'd spread out these battle royales a little bit with player bases. And then players would, they'd be playing Firestorm and going, you know what, I'm going to buy the Battlefield 5. I like this game. You would get some sales that you would never have gotten, and same with Call of Duty. So I don't understand it. I don't know if the money is worth it for them to not go free, but we'll see. We'll see. Sorry for the yawn. Was up late. All right, Call of Duty's also going mobile. Want to talk to Joe about that. And we have okay. There's in August there's a workshop to discuss loot crates in America. The FTC is getting together to discuss like what that means. I know in other countries they've implemented laws for these companies to tell you that you're gambling, right? If you're spending money on something that is randomized but has an algorithm to control it, just like a slot machine at a casino, it's the same concept. Your goal, what you're trying to get and obtain, has a percentage based off of the number of pulls, right? So if you want a legendary, they need to tell you to how much it's 7% chance or 12% chance. It will be a refreshing reminder of how how risky it is to throw all this money into some of this type of stuff. But all the big companies are pushing back. I love the fact that Apex Legends put that stuff right in the game. It's very apparent. Right in the game, it tells you, you're going to have 7% chance of getting a legendary. There's no duplicates, and we guarantee a legendary one every 35 loot boxes or something. They're telling you all that information up front. These people are smart. People love the fact that they know what they're getting into, and knowledge is power. So I'd love to see what comes out of the FTC Loot Crate August discussion. Game Pass and Gold. Looks like that's going to be combined to a $15 a month proposed. This is a proposal here. I don't know if it's 100% yet, but they're going to do a combined fee, and you'll save $5 a month, right, if you're a Game Pass and a Gold subscriber for Xbox. Now, what Game Pass is basically access to hundreds and hundreds of previous games, Xbox One and Xbox 360 alike. So there are a lot of good games in there. Sea of Thieves is in there, I believe. Some of the big games that are out right now that a lot of people play. State of Decay 2. If you're a game player who plays a lot of different games, this $15 a month combo seems to be well worth it. If you just play like one game, like Call of Duty or this Fortnite or whatever, it's not worth it because you won't ever get in there. However, check it out, $15 a month probably, and that seems like a pretty good deal to me, given the library and the huge access of games. Stuff like this, if this rolls over into the next generation consoles, you'll be able to play, hopefully, the previous console games through passes like this, and you get back to games you never got to play. And some of these games get remastered and stuff, and you just never go back to it. I love the concept. I love the subscription model. I do Netflix. I play more games than I watch movies, and I'm willing to pay $10 to $12 a month for Netflix. I'd be willing to pay $15 a month for a huge library of games to play at any given time. So when you think of it like that, to me, it's a no-brainer. I hope that that Sony's prices come down a little bit on this, and I also hope that Google, if they have their system, I hope it's some type of subscription model that is a moderately priced or good priced, that gives us access to some of the top games that are out today. And also, I hope that EA access comes to PlayStation. There was that rumor. I haven't seen much since, so we'll see what happens. There's a documentary out called Playing Hard, just hit on Netflix. It's about the For Honor game, and it's getting some good reviews. There's been a lot of talk about the state of developers in the gaming industry and how toxic it can be and how hard it can be. A lot of people complaining about how they push, make expectations really, really high, and then the teams deliver, and then they have to change what they're delivering at the last minute, make huge changes to the games. Those changes seem to impact a lot of the bugs, defects, and storylines. And then we get games like Anthem or some of these things that are supposed to be big but end up being duds. And then those teams get laid off, but who's really to blame? Well, For Honor was hugely hyped, never really amassed to the hype that they wanted to, and then it steadily grew. I guess nowadays it's just got a long-term player base. Nothing was significant at the beginning. I played some beta of that. I really loved the concept. I have it on my system. I plan on playing it. It'll probably be too late by the time I do, but at the same time, the concept was great. The graphics were great. Gameplay felt good, and maybe I should get in there sooner rather than later. But I am going to check out this documentary because people are giving it some good reviews, and it'll be interesting to read about or see about some of the behind the scenes of the making of that game. Rage 2 is going to be released on May 14th, and I played a little bit of Rage 1. It was a lot of fun. It had a similar feel to some of these games we play right now, like Borderlands and whatnot. But one of the things that they did I think is hilarious is they added an He's on Fire edition. And I don't know if this is just a pre-order bonus or if this is a part of the game itself entirely, but the He's on Fire edition is the guy from old school, us old school gamers know this pretty well. He is, he's on fire! That guy from NBA Jam. They hired the same guy, the voice actor, to come in, and there's an awesome video that shows like a minute long, and it's a shooter, right? It's like a Borderlands or whatever, a story-based shooter, and the guy's doing the commentary as you're blowing people up and stuff. It's just hilarious. Boom, shaka waka! And they really implemented him very well based off the trailer. I can't wait to play this game. I definitely am going to check it out because the Rage 2 is getting a lot of rage, or a lot of people talking about it. And I never finished Rage 1. Maybe I should add it to the list before I played Rage 2. But if you're familiar with Rage 1 and you think I should play it, go ahead, tweet at us at the Backlog Pod. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on Rage 1, and if you think I should play Rage 2. So wrapping up this quickie, 30. Well, it's not as quick as I thought. I thought it was going to be like 10, 15 minutes. Here we are, 31. So let me wrap it up. Tonight is WrestleMania. The other night was NXT TakeOver New York, and holy shit, Todd did it again, man. Except for did it again, he stole the show. Yes, all four of the wrestlers were awesome. Ricochet, Aleister Black, and Raymond Rowe. All four of them, phenomenal effort. But, Todd's a big dude. He's a humble guy. And he was doing some things that could absolutely have injured him for life. He does these things all the time. He's been doing them for 20-something years. And they gave him the opportunity to truly showcase what he's capable of doing. I couldn't believe it. He did the cannonball off the top, a front flip, 305-something pounds, this guy. I love the style of athleticism that they let the War Raiders show. But in addition to that, the way that they work together, the way that they sacrifice each other's bodies, tells a story about how, he'll body slam, Rowe will body slam Hansen onto the opponent. Obviously, in wrestling world, that's going to hurt Hansen too. They play it off. Hansen's up top, his teammates down below with Ricochet and Aleister Black. He does a cannonball into all three of them. It's awesome. I love the dynamic. It's this anything, take anything they need to win style. They are the modern day combination of Legion of Doom, Demolition, and Powers of Pain with athleticism and, way more movement than all three of those teams ever had. When you think back and you watch, if you were to pull up Legion of Doom, my memories of Legion of Doom, they were just friggin' phenomenal, right? But all the wrestling back then was so much slower paced, and there was so many handholds and test of strengths and bear hugs and slow down moments. There was like one or two slow down moments in this match, and it was just to show respect, and that was telling a story. These four guys told a story in a 20-minute match that was so good that had the crowd on their feet chanting Hall of Famers. This is NXT. This is the pre-show to the WrestleMania. And all four guys were getting a Hall of Famers chant. The hair standing up on the back of my neck, and I'm getting goosebumps because I know Todd, and I couldn't even imagine what that would feel like. To know you're being cheered upon by 20-something thousand people and millions at home as a Hall of Famer before you even made it to the big show. And the performance that these four guys put on deserves that chant, deserves that type of, response, truly, because that match, the first match, is the opening match on NXT TakeOver, and it was just incredible. And I believe from my heart, even if I didn't know Todd, I would feel the same way about this match. Obviously, there's emotion that goes into it because I know Todd. And it's just so cool to see someone at such a high level do these things. And I'm not a big guy. I'm 5'7", I think, 5'8". Uh, you know, just I'm not a big guy, but we did the backyard wrestling stuff. There was obviously a time in my life where I was like, I would love to be a professional wrestler. I got the body of one, like in the sense of I'm beaten to hell. My arms are broken. My back, I have herniations in my neck and my lower back. It's just nuts. But you know, I'm not afraid of standing in front of a group of people or a crowd and doing something stupid. I used to go to school dances, create a circle, and just dance. I go, just to make my friends laugh. I would create a circle at a nightclub and risk my life pushing people back and telling them to circle it up. And anyone who's been out at a club with me knows, one or two back in the hatch, and I'll do the worm on any floor. So and I love it. I love the feeling, everyone clapping with me and cheering and whatever. I don't know what I would do. 20,000 people. I don't know what I'd be willing to do with 20,000 people cheering me on. Todd does. Todd does know what he'd be willing to do. He'd do a freaking front flip cannonball from 305 pounds off the top rope onto concrete. That's what Todd's willing to do. He's willing to dive face first through the middle rope into his opponent. Aleister Black is willing to do a backflip off the top rope into onto the cement. Ricochet can do anything he wants. He defies physics and gravity. And, I talk a lot of wrestling. I know this is a gaming show, but I grew up on wrestling and gaming. Some of my fondest memories, believe it or not, was watching wrestling with my brother on scrambled TV because we couldn't get every pay-per-view. But back in the day, you could tune your TV, you could get to the pay-per-view channel by, it was scrambled, and you couldn't see it, but you could hear it. And I just remember watching like Royal Rumbles through scrambled television on my mom and dad's 12-inch, 13-inch black and white TV. And I feel like I've seen it, but I didn't. I listened to it. Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan just going to town, and it's like, everyone, some people are embarrassed to say they like wrestling. Some people are embarrassed to watch wrestling. There's a lot of people throw the homoerotic tag at it and stuff because of the tights and all that. But you know what? The real men in the back of those locker rooms, they know they're men. They know they're not afraid to go out there in their tights. There's a lot of humor, a lot of passion, and a lot of silliness that goes into making the show that is wrestling. There's a lot of dedication. There's a lot of pain and suffering that's involved. And there's a lot of years for a lot of these guys that are not sensational, not something that they want to tell their family and friends that they go through. There's a reason there's a lot of early deaths in wrestling. It's because the schedules are intense. The pain is real. These bodies of these people. I mean, think about it. I'm 38 years old. If I just jumped right now in my office with carpet and landed on my body, my chest, as hard as I could possibly land, flat-faced, that would hurt. I would be out. But these guys do it 16, 20 times a night, 5 nights a week across the entire country because they're traveling all over the place. It's hard to have families. It's hard to have friends that are outside of the industry. And, there's probably a lot of emotion and pain and suffering. So these guys turn to beer. These guys turn to alcohol. They turn to pain pills. And they turn to drugs. Freedom, freedom from whatever. And then they go out there the next night and they perform and they get that wave of emotion, the cheers, the chants. And I think the worst thing you could do is not appreciate a wrestler if you're a fan of wrestling. The boos. Even, MMA gets this too. When people boo out there, you get in the fucking ring and you fight. You fight in front of 30,000 people. Get your ass kicked. You know what I mean? Like, some fights are best won mentally. That's why Conor McGregor does his thing with his mind games. It's you break these people down, you make them believe they can that they may not win, or they have to win, and if they don't, their careers are over. And you put a lot of pressure on them. Well, these guys, every night, their entire careers, their paychecks are dependent on the fans. 100% dependent on you cheering them or booing them. And, I remember back in the day, wrestler Al Snow, he was always a mixed reaction, but I guess in the back, this guy was he helped the other guys out. He was beloved, decent guy, and I don't know any of these to be facts, but I'm just repeating things I've read. And so they kept him around. He bounced around from WWF to WCW to ECW and did his thing. And my brother and I and some friends, we were at an event, and I don't remember which one this was, but I was at the event where someone gave him a styrofoam head. He would take things. ECW gave you the opportunity to you could chuck a chair in the ring and they'd use it back in the day. Nowadays, there's no way in hell that would go through, but back in the day, yeah. So people would bring things in, frying pans, this and that. Well, one person had a styrofoam head, and Al Snow took it, got into the ring, held it up. Crowd said head. He held it up again. Crowd said head. And years later, he's freaking tag team champions, and in WWE, limelight because people reacted to the head. People need to react if you have a favorite wrestler, or if you just appreciate what they're doing out there. Now, I'm not saying if you think someone sucks and you don't want to see him ever again, react to him anyways. But at the same time, you see someone like Todd or Raymond Rowe just putting their bodies on the line, and you do any bit of research and realize how long we've been doing this stuff, cheer for him, scream for him. Ricochet, this guy's doing amazing things that most people can't. And he's doing them on a regular basis to upkeep this character. Rey Mysterio Jr. has a life of doing these types of things, and he's an old man now. He's getting old. He was around when I was a kid. The guy's been doing it all his life. He just got cleared for WrestleMania. Cheer that man on, And I know wrestling isn't the same as when I most enjoyed it. I love the Attitude Era. I love the early days, but I'm not a fan of the storylines these days, a lot of them, but when you watch NXT, you kind of get that back. You kind of get some of the olden, the feel of that there's really much more passion and much more involvement. It seems like some of these guys, when they get to the big show, they've made it and they're kind of done with putting their risks out there, and they got to turn to, some other things, and the big heads and whatnot prevail. And then you got the Brock Lesnar's who don't have to do nothing, doesn't even show up to the Hall of Fame ceremony. It's just silly, But WrestleMania is right around the corner. Can't wait for it. And we're going to be watching it tonight. So when I talk with Joe, we're going to go into WrestleMania, whether he likes it or not. Damn it. And also check out my Twitter and Instagram at the Backlog Pod. I posted a couple of things. You'll see my studio is now complete. And I am proud to say that in the coming weeks and months, I will be delivering content. I'm going to be delivering content that you will love. I'm going to be delivering content that you will enjoy subscribing to. That is the goal. And I'm going to be stupid and silly. I'm going to be serious and fun. I'm going to be everything I can to get your views, to get your listens, to get your serious feedback. And, my wife works till 9. I got a couple hours to burn every day, and I'm going to do it with my kids. I'm going to do it with my fans. If there's a single fan out there that wants to watch and see any of this stuff, I'm not the best gamer in the world, so I'm going to put out some content that hopefully you will enjoy anyways. There's a character. There's a content creator called Pay Money Wubby, and he's hilarious. And I see what he does and what he puts out, and then I see Dr. Disrespect and what he does and he puts out. Those two are influencing me to put out the content that I want to put out, that I know I'm capable of putting out. The studio looks phenomenal. Check out our Twitter to see it, at the Backlog Pod. Just got to keep reminding you. And, I put a lot of time and money into it. Not that, don't feel bad for me. I did it for myself. But, shit, it looks good. And I'm just so proud, so happy to sit here and have this view every time I sit down to go to work or go to play. I've made it to where I want to be in the life that I have. I know that they say the American dream is to become a millionaire and this and that. That's not my dream right now. Obviously, I would not deny that, but a dream is something I'm trying to obtain. I'm not trying to obtain becoming a millionaire. I'm trying to obtain an enjoyable life, something that I can sit back and say, this is the life I wanted, right? When I was a kid, if you told me I'd have a studio talking to hundreds of people on a podcast and just ranting and raving about things I love and hate, uh, with some of my closest friends helping me out along the way, my brother helping me out along the way, looking at two 55-inch monitor, 4K TVs, broadcasting anything I want to them, watching WrestleMania with my buddy on it. It's just this is the life. I got to admit, I wish there were more people physically living around me so I could share this life with them, so that they could, share their lives with me. All I got right now is my wife and my kids physically here, and that's enough because internet has allowed us to branch out and reach out across the countries and stuff. But you know, having Jed move to Italy and having myself here wallowing in my own sorrows, I am imploring you to subscribe to the YouTube stuff that I do, to the Twitch stuff that I'm hopefully going to be doing, so that you can share all this fun with me. This podcast is just the tip of the iceberg of what I think I'm capable of, and I look forward to all the future things that we're going to do together. Now, last but not least, it is April 7th. We're getting so close. So damn close to season 8 of Game of Thrones. Now, if you don't know what Game of Thrones is, get out from under the rock you're in. Game of Thrones is by far the best television that has ever been produced. It is the best book that has ever been produced. If you don't agree, sorry, you're wrong. That's just my opinion. However, we're going to be talking about Game of Thrones too. Maybe we'll do some side podcasts there because I know that that's so outside of gaming related. But man, I'll tell you, guaranteed once this show is over, they're going to be doing games and games and games. There are some Telltale games with Game of Thrones in it, but man, this is just what a climaxing series. Can't wait for the final 8 episodes, I believe it is. They're all about an hour long or more. They are having the biggest fight scenes and biggest battles in television movie history. They have put together some of the most amazing digital content to go into these shows in these final 8 episodes. They're going to pull off all the stops, okay? I cannot wait. It's going to be hopefully the most epic ending to anything you have ever seen. And the only thing I can relate this excitement to is the finale of Battlestar Galactica. When you get into that and you enjoy how amazing that show is, and you start getting towards the end, and you know it's the end. You know this is the final couple of episodes. You know there's nothing else after it. And you know, excuse me, damn it. You know that when it's over, you're not going to get any more. So does it deliver? Does it satisfy and satiate those feelings of needing more? It better. Yeah, I hope it does. I think back to Lost, and I think back to the expectations that were put on the writers, even through the writer's strike. And I think back to what everyone wanted the end of Lost to be, and how unfortunate all that work to get it to where it was just didn't deliver on a global promise of being the most epic ending. It wasn't as dynamic of an ending as it could have been, and to this day, it's something that leaves a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth of, what could it have been? What should it have been? That was one of the best shows I've ever watched, and I watched it like 5 times. I think back to shows like 24, who, that was some of the best television you will ever see. And unfortunately, again, the writer's strike from back then impacted the show. Negotiation problems impacted the show, and then drug problems, I believe, impacted the show. I can't remember exactly, but they finished it hard. They finished that show hard and good. They came back with the final season, and they did it right. People wanted to see badass Jack Bauer, not pussy Jack Bauer, and they got it. And so, they I think they did the right thing by Jack Bauer and the fans of 24. Think back to Dexter. What a great show. What a great show Dexter was. Some people hated the ending. I don't know. I mean, I wish I had seen a little bit more of what could have happened with him and his life and his character post finale. I wish there might have been a follow up season or some. I don't know. I mean, could they have done it? Yes. Um, Leaving the speculation to the fans is something that was really coined by Sopranos. Um, you know, now with the Tony Soprano gone, we'll never get that follow up that people had hoped for. I think back to some of the most amazing shows like The Wire or The Shield. A lot of times they get toasted on their delivery of the finale. They get ruined after it's over. But some of these shows live on forever. And The Shield. Oh my goodness! If you haven't watched that, just some of the most yes, it's a cop show, right? It's more than that. It's more than that. And if you watch a show like The Shield or a show like The Wire, you will see characters in those shows that are now primetime actors starring in their own shows and movies today because they were the shit back then. I mean, boom, bam, they did it. They put the passion in these shows all together. And so, Game of Thrones is wrapping up. All the actors in the Game of Thrones show have an opportunity now that they did not have back then. Kit Harington is going to be a megastar. He already is, but he's going to be a megastar. Once he's free from the role of Jon Snow, this guy has the world in front of him if he chooses. Even Joffrey Baratheon, I forget the name of the guy who played him. He chose to back out. It was too emotional. It was too impactful. In real life, the guy's a really good guy, but after his absolutely unbelievable role as Joffrey in this show, he will never ever be able to be looked at differently again. And I think he kind of knew that, and he didn't like that. I don't think he liked the feeling of being hated as much as he was. But I don't know if there was anybody who could have done a better job at what he did. Ramsay Bolton. I mean, we're going to do a full couple of episodes where I get into this because it's silly as it is, it's emotional for me. I love it. I love it so much that you start you put your life into it. What do you love in life? I love this stuff. I love it. I love when a good game is over, man. I just think back to when Jagger beat Super Mario Odyssey or one of those games, and he was like 3, and I said, "You did it. You won. It's over. Now you can play a different game." And he just started crying. I want to play this game. And I said, "But there's more games. I just want to play this game." So he went back and started it over. I just want more Game of Thrones, man. I just want more of The Wire. I just want more of these shows. I don't want it to end. But Battlestar Galactica had the best finale. It delivered in my gut, in my heart. I didn't need another episode. It was over, and I would definitely have taken another episode, but there was no desire. I felt like the story was complete, and I was ready to move on from the entire universe that was that. And so I hope that that's what they do with us. I know that there's more of the Game of Thrones universe coming to HBO in the future, but I want this one to be finale. And by finale, I do not want to feel like there is anything left hanging. I don't know how they're going to do that in 8 episodes with all of the open questions and all of the open storylines. But I guess really most of them don't matter because when that, the undead is coming, the petty politics don't really matter. But that is the point of the Game of Thrones, right? Trying to get the throne when there's really much more important things. There's a lot of truth to that, a lot of truth to that in real life. So we're going to talk about all those things that I just went through over the next coming episodes of the Backlog Exposed. I am your host with the most episodes, I guess. Joe is he's on a lot of them, but I can say it. I'm the host with the most episodes. No messing around with Joe here. He's got a lot of things going on, and I have less things going on than he does, so I'm able to get in here and do this a little bit more often. But Joe and I, are going to be recording later tonight or tomorrow, giving you another episode. Then we're going to start doing more consistent, timed episodes, probably come up with a schedule, come up with structure, come up with a whole lot of things because we're going to be streaming, we're going to be hooting and hollering, we're going to be having a lot of fun. Check us out, thebacklogexposed.com, or you can hit us at all of our links. This is a new one, okay? Linktree is this cool bookmark type thing, right? I created about 10 different things, our Instagram, our Twitter, our Discord, all of those things, right? You can get right to them by going to Linktree, which is linktr.ee/thebacklogpod. Check it out, Linktree. You can make your own. It's pretty cool. But yeah, you know our website, anchor.fm/thebacklogexposed. You got Twitter and Instagram. And last but not least, we are at 750 plus followers on Twitter. Thank you. I think most of them are real. You can run a search to see. And we are getting pumped and followed left and right. The growth is starting to expand. We really do appreciate it. I want to hit that 1,000 mark soon. I'd like to do it before Jagger's birthday, which is the 20th of April, so I can apply for a content creator code for Fortnite. So if you can help us out, please like and subscribe, share, all those things to all of our things, and things will be thingy, and it'll be awesome. So I am Kevin. I am out. And until next time, this was episode 48 of the Backlog Exposed.